The warm-up before the big one, and then the big one again. Buckeyes defeat Northwestern 31-7. Welcome into the voice of college football. Best in discussion, debate, and analysis based on your participation. Leave those comments and questions down below. All right, let's get to it. The analysis of Ohio State and Northwestern. The Wildcats led at 7-0. Their first two drives were stellar. Jack Sawyer, early in the game, second or third play of the game, whiffed on a sack. Well, he made the play because Sonny Styles cleaned up on the sack. However, people evaluating JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer look for the sack statistic. And I thought of that thinking, okay, Jack, you got to clean that up and get the sack. People are looking for the sack statistic. But he still got the would-be sack and made the play. However, the Buckeyes forced Northwestern into a 3rd and 13. Should have shut it down right there. But Cam Porter converted. Sloppy defense by the Buckeyes early on. Is this not a trend? There is little to get on this defense about. However, look at game after game after game after game. Sloppy starts to these games before they really dial it in. Wrigley Field, if there's nothing to talk about concerning this football game except for the warm-up for Indiana, it's also Wrigley Field. If you're a baseball fan, you have to appreciate the setting. I, for one, think that it's interesting to watch these football games in the baseball stadiums and the configuration of the field in the stadium and where at different places on the field the viewers, the fans, are either really close to the action or they're like 100 miles away. Fortunately, they finally figured out how to actually set the field inside the stadium so it doesn't run amok and people aren't colliding into brick walls. But Wrigley Field, of course, Harry Carey, the Cubs win, Cubs win, Cubs win. That's all fun stuff if you are a baseball fan. All right, back to the football here. Northwestern, again, the first two drives of the game. And, of course, the approach for the Wildcats was to shorten the game. Keep the Ohio State offense off the field by running the play clock down inside of 5 seconds. And despite having a freshman quarterback, Jack Lausch, and although that appears to be easy to do, okay, just wait until the play clock gets within 5 seconds. That's not as easy to execute as it would seem, but Northwestern did rather well at that. Coming off the bye week, I'm sure that was a point of emphasis. A point of emphasis for the Ohio State defense has been the absence of Tyleik Williams. Good to see him back on the field, and it appears to be fully healthy as one of the great athletes on this Ohio State defense, and mentioned during the broadcast, maybe considering his size, the best athlete on the field. Again, Northwestern, excellent drive the first time they had it inside the 15-yard line. Jack Sawyer did make the play, forcing the fumble inside the 15-yard line, and recovered by Davison Igbinosun. The Ohio State rushing game did not produce spectacular numbers, just solid the entire day. The offensive line generally did its job, but when it did not, yes, Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were dodging guys in the backfield and then picking up additional yardage, especially Quinshon Judkins in the first half. Man, the yardage after contact, you do not want to get in this guy's way. Damon Walters, I note here in the notes, in particular, laid to waste. Northwestern without two of its best defenders. Keep note of that. Xander Mueller, their best player on defense, and also their best cornerback, Theron Johnson, out of this game. Quinshon Judkins converted a 4th and 1 all by himself at the 41-yard line. Ohio State drive comes up empty. Jeremiah Smith almost had one of his patented one-handed catches when he is hand fighting with a defender, and it appears as though it's almost impossible for him to catch a football, but he did, except he slightly trapped the football. It was pretty obvious on the replay. Buckeyes had to punt. And then the Northwestern wide receivers, they went to work for a time. Bryce Kurtz, he made an outstanding catch on one sideline, 34 yards, and then A.J. Henning, the former Michigan wide receiver, to the Buckeye 42 on the other side. Jack Lausch, it was talked about during the broadcast, takes his tips and studies Joe Burrow from a physical standpoint, but also mentally in preparing for the next play and flushing out any negative plays by just taking a deep breath. And Jack Lausch, we may actually next see him on the baseball field, he's an outstanding Major League Baseball prospect. Bryce Kurtz abusing Denzel Burke early. That was not good to see if you're a Buckeyes fan for some possible matchups down the road. Jack Lausch with a touchdown to put Northwestern up 7-0. So again, the Wildcats on the first 2 drives of the game only converted 1, but moved the ball easily early. Noted during the game that since Ryan Day took over the Ohio State football program, and of course it's been his offense before hiring Chip Kelly, the Ohio State offense is number 1 in the nation since 2019 in yards per game, yards per play, 50-point games, and also number 2 in scoring offense. Again, Day turning it over to Chip Kelly. Will Howard to Jeremiah Smith on a 4th and 3 conversion. So at this point in the game, Northwestern's up 7-0. They've expired the entire first quarter. The Buckeyes have the ball at the 45. So if they give it up right there, Northwestern up 7 with prime field position. But it's converted by the Buckeyes on the 4th and 3 on the in-cut by Jeremiah Smith. Also noting here that Ohio State's number 1 in the nation in red zone point conversion at 88%. Northwestern came in with a respectable defensive effort in the red zone at number 17 in the country. Carnell Tate with a remarkable reception on a double team. They were all over him. Will Howard snuck it in. He catches it inside the 5. Quinshon Judkins with the touchdown. Judkins 15 carries for 76 yards in this one as the Buckeyes tied it up at 7-7. Then Northwestern made the play that broke their backs. Of course, Northwestern would have to play a perfect game to have any kind of chance in this one, but their punt snapper took care of that. When he sailed it over the punter's head, who then tried to punt the football, got it blocked, so the Buckeyes pick up a blocked punt for the second consecutive week. It went out of bounds. Northwestern was hoping it went through the end zone. It was a fairly close call, but clearly went out of bounds, and so the Buckeyes were set up in prime position. They scored the touchdown by Judkins again, 14-7. Next time down the field, it was Will Howard to G. Scott on the 34-yarder down the seam. Carnell Tate with the diving catch for the touchdown to make it 21-7, and the Buckeyes were off and running at that point. Carnell Tate to start the second half with another touchdown, 4 catches, 52 yards, and a couple scores for the Buckeyes' third option on the day and the season, 28-7. At this point, they move out to a 31-7 lead. Travion Henderson, 11 carries, 74 yards. So between Judkins with 15 carries, Henderson with 11, they picked up just about $150 total. That's what the Buckeyes are looking for out of these 2 backs to keep them fresh down the stretch. More battering from Quinshon Judkins to make it again 31-7 on the field goal drive. And the last bit of note for the Buckeyes here, as this point spread was 28.5 points. Will Howard on a 4th and 2 as the Buckeyes were in prime position to score, went for the jugular, but Carnell Tate could not bring it down. Fussell, the Northwestern defender in the play, with a nice pass breakup. So the Buckeyes did not cover the spread. That's about all they did on the day past the first couple drives that did not work. Ohio State wins it 31-7. Now the aim is in Columbus against Indiana, an undefeated Hoosiers team at 10-0. We will cover it throughout the week here at the Voice of College Football. Indiana at Ohio State, the Buckeyes at 9-1. For Northwestern, 4-6 with 2 games left to play. And of course, the Wildcats will have to win both affairs to get back to a bowl game in David Braun's second season. Of course, they completed that remarkable run from 1-11 to 8-5 with a bowl win against Utah last season. But again, it's about the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers next Saturday. We'll talk it up all week. Please comment, like the video, and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football.